Discover spine-chilling tales. 7 haunting stories revealed from forbidden dark corners. Claire sat hunched over her kitchen table, the dim light flickering above her like the last star in a dying sky. Chills crawled down her spine, not just from the autumn cold creeping in through the cracked window, but from the tight knot of worry in her gut as she surveyed the bills piling up like unsolvable riddles. Mia, her 10-year-old, lay restless in the next room, caught in the throes of a nightmare or perhaps something worse lurking just outside their fractured world. Once, this neighborhood had vibrantly pulsed with life. Now, the cracked sidewalks and overgrown weeds mirrored her despair. The streets of Detroit had become a mosaic of shadows and whispers, but tonight, something felt off. A series of muffled sounds drifted from across the street, the home of Mr. Brody, the man whose friendly smile never reached his hollow eyes. His name wrapped in rumors of a predatory past that sent shivers down even the bravest spines. Then the flickering lights began. They danced through the grimy curtains like ghastly flames, puncturing the darkness. And with them, a low, unsettling hum that sent her heart racing. Claire's breath hitched. She gripped the edge of the table until her knuckles turned white. It was just the wind, she told herself, just the aging pipes creaking in the cold. But deep down, an echo of fear lingered. The community was on edge. Children had begun to vanish, and their voices, lost like whispers in the wind, haunted her thoughts. Desperation forced her to call the local police, but their nonchalance shattered her resolve. "Just a figment of your imagination," one officer had said, dismissing her frantic worries as simple single-mother paranoia. Panic surged through her. The darkness she sensed peering at her through the dim roots of her reality had teeth. With every sleepless night, the rumors intensified. Local lore spoke of a vengeful spirit tied to Mr. Brody, a spirit that seized innocent souls under the light of a full moon. As the stories unfolded in her mind, Claire slipped into the night, dragging her flashlight behind her as she navigated the shadows that had whispered to her for too long. How many children had been taken in the warped corners of this suburb? Could aimless rumors lead her to the truth she feared to uncover? One evening, hysteria clawed at her sanity as she peered into Mr. Brody's kitchen. He stood there, stirring something viscous in a pot, illuminated by flickering bulbs like a mad scientist. Instinct ignited a fire inside her, pushing her to confront him. But then, panic slapped her senses as the shrill scream of her daughter sliced through the stillness of the autumn night. Mia's voice echoed with terror. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Claire dashed to the front yard, heart pounding, body trembling. Mr. Brody stood between her and Mia, his smile not just wide, but stretched unnaturally, as if reality bent around him. Shadows rippled on his skin like dark tendrils, coiling around him and the heart of her home. The dread crushing her senses felt palpable, raw. "No!" Claire screamed, but it hung in the air, a vapor lost to the encroaching darkness. Would she unravel the threads of horror before they snatched her precious daughter away? Or would these haunted streets swallow her whole, leaving only echoes behind? Claire fought through the fear wrapping around her chest like a vice. Each step toward Mr. Brody felt like trudging through thick mud, every second amplifying the sense of dread looming before her. The flickering lights danced wildly in the window behind him, casting eerie shadows that distorted his silhouette. She couldn't let him have Mia, not like this. Let her go. Claire's voice trembled, but it cut through the night like a blade. Mia's face, ghostly pale and twisted in terror, peered out from behind Mr. Brody's bulk, her wide eyes glimmering with unshed tears. "Mommy!" she cried, reaching out a small hand as if it could bridge the gap between them. The darkness pooled around Mr. Brody's ankles, sloshing like liquid, and for an instant, Claire thought she saw figures swirling within it, little hands, tiny faces desperately trying to break free. The sheer horror of it nearly sent her stumbling back. "Come closer," Mr. Brody beckoned with an almost hypnotic calm. "I only want to help." The words dripped with sugar-coated menace, and Claire fought the urge to step back. She needed to be brave for Mia. "You're a monster," Claire shouted, channeling every ounce of fear into defiance. His smile twitched, momentarily faltering. "Who's the real monster here, Claire?" His voice too sweet, coated in an unsettling familiarity. "Is it me or the one who lets the darkness thrive?" He moved, a sudden surge forward that filled the air with a chilling energy. Mia whimpered, shrinking against the wall of his body as shadows cascaded around her. "No!" Claire lunged forward, adrenaline coursing through her veins like wildfire. She grappled with Mr. Brody's arm, desperate fingers clawing at his skin. His flesh felt cold unnaturally, so as if it were imbued with the slumbering frost of countless forgotten nights. With a flick of his wrist, he pushed her back with a force that stole the breath from her lungs. She stumbled but held her ground, her heart pounding like a war drum. "You can't keep her," Claire screamed, determination surging through her. "Are you sure she's not better off with me?" His eyes gleamed, something alive and twisted lurking behind them. "After all, I can give her what the world outside has stolen." So many lost whispers echoed in Claire's mind. Too many children taken. Sounds of laughter faded into silence. What did he mean? Was this part of the role he played? Behind his friendly facade lingered something far more sinister. Something that had entwined him with the very fabric of this cursed neighborhood. Suddenly, Mia started to tremble, shaking her head as if trying to dispel a fog closing in around her mind. "No, I want my mommy." Her scream pierced the air, a single shard of light cutting through the darkness. "Stop this." Claire leapt forward again, grabbing Mia's chin in one hand, forcing her daughter to look at her. The connection between them sparked, illuminating the night like a lantern. But Mr. Brody's laughter curled sinister around them, chilling Claire to the bone. "You think you can just waltz in and take her? You don't understand. She's already part of this part of me." The shadows began to swell, creeping toward Claire. They hissed and whispered secrets lost to the world, promising safety and warmth if only she would let go. In that moment, a fire ignited in Claire. No matter the threat, no matter the consequences, she would not allow Mia to slip away. "We're leaving," she screamed, wrenching Mia from Brody's grip. But as the shadows curled around them like a living entity, she realized the struggle had only just begun. How could she navigate the underbelly of a town steeped in darkness? With renewed fury, the air crackled around her. "You'll never take her." But outside, a cold howl met her defiance, as the walls of their home shook under the weight of unspoken nightmares. What had she awakened? The thought fractured her resolve just as the shadows lunged forward, sealing off their escape. The clock was ticking. Would they become the next whispers lost to the darkness? The full moon hung overhead, watching with a wicked eye. The shadows surged, closing in around Claire and Mia, enveloping them in a darkness that felt alive. The air thickened, tinged with an acrid warm scent that made Claire's stomach twist. She held Mia tightly, feeling the weight of the world pressing down on her shoulders, but her resolve did not waver. With a primal roar, she shoved through the advancing darkness, arms stretching toward the door where her only escape lay. "No!" Mr. Brody shouted, his smile now twisted into a grimace. The shadows snapped and crackled, reaching for Claire like hungry hands. The figures within them screamed, their tiny voices echoing like distant thunder, warning her of what lay ahead. Clara's heart raced as the grip of darkness slipped past, brushing cold against her skin. She pushed forward, desperate to reach the door, but something icy coiled around her ankle, anchoring her in place. The shadows whispered her name, each syllable smooth yet jagged like broken glass. "Claire, let us go," she screamed, yanking her leg free with a force she didn't know she had. She stumbled, but didn't look back. The door loomed in her sights, a beacon of pale light slicing through the pitch. Mia, pale and trembling, tugged on Claire's sleeve. "Mommy, I feel funny." Her words scraped against Clara's heart like nails. "Hold on. Just hold on," Claire urged, squeezing her daughter's hand, grounding them both in the moment. But Brody laughed then, a dark, eerie sound that sent shivers racing down Clara's spine. "You're so eager to leave, Claire. But where are you going?" "She belongs to me now." Rational thought slipped through Claire's fingers like sand. "No, you're wrong." Her voice fought to rise above the cacophony, but doubt seeped in, threatening to drown her. Was Mia really part of this darkness? The shadows around her slithered, coiling tighter. "Feel it, Claire," they hissed, their whispers seductive and soft. "Join us. Show her the true way, Mia," Claire shouted, shaking her head to clear out the fog. "Look at me. Focus on my voice." But Mia's eyes glazed over, the innocence there flickering like a flame ready to be snuffed out. The shadows danced joyfully, whispering promises of comfort and love, making darkness seem less frightening. Claire's heart sank. "Mia." Claire grasped her daughter's cheeks, desperately searching for the spark that made her Mia, the giggling, feisty girl who chased butterflies in the park. "Don't listen to him. Remember all our wonderful moments? The stories at bedtime? We're gonna get out of here." Suddenly, Mia blinked, the haze lifting for just a moment. "Mommy," she pleaded, a tremor of fear in her voice. "I don't want to stay. It was enough." Claire surged forward, breaking through the oppressive grip of the shadows. With each step, the darkness recoiled. Whether in outrage or fear, Claire couldn't tell. The door was almost within reach when a piercing shriek rent the air, a sound that seemed to echo from the deep soul of the town itself. "Stop! You can't escape!" Brody's voice roared, weaving through the air, wreathed in fury. The shadows lunged, swirling around Claire's feet, trying to pull her back into the fold. She felt the grip tightening, the shadows crumbling under pressure as they lashed out, dark tendrils slashing toward her like whips. The door was within inches. She could feel the warmth radiating from the other side, a promise of safety. With everything she had, she hoisted Mia up in her arms and flung the door wide open. What greeted them was a still night, the moonlight pouring in like liquid silver. But just beyond, the neighborhood stretched dark and sinister, like a predator waiting to strike. The cloying perfume of thick fog hung low to the ground, wrapping around the street lamps in a ghostly embrace. "Run!" Claire shouted, barreling into the night. But even as they fled, she could hear the shadows howling behind them, resonating with anger and rejection. As they raced toward home, fear twisted in Clara's stomach again. With every beat of her heart, the hairs on the back of her neck stood on end. Had they truly escaped, or was this just the calm before the storm? What price would they pay for their freedom? As the streetlights flickered ominously, the ground beneath them trembled, and a chilling whisper once again filled the air. "You can't run." The darkness was not done with them yet. The fog clung to Claire and Mia like a second skin, suffocating their breaths as they sprinted down the empty street. Each step felt heavy, the asphalt cold beneath their feet, amplifying the threat that loomed behind them. In the distance, the shadows writhed, a monstrous creature both formless and monstrous, a nightmare refusing to relent. "Mommy," Mia whimpered, her voice barely rising above the oppressive silence. "What's happening? Where are they?" Claire tightened her grip around her daughter. "Just keep running, honey. Don't look back." But how could she help it? Her heart hammered in her chest, every instinct screaming that the darkness was only a breath away. The air grew denser, thick with dread as the shadows stretched forward, like spider legs inching toward a frightened fly. Then, it hit her. A sudden rush of heat radiated from the ground, scorching her skin. Claire stumbled, nearly losing her footing. "Mia," she gasped, looking down. The pavement was shifting, like dark water swirling beneath them. "Mommy," Mia cried, glancing back. The shadows had gained ground, reaching for them in jagged arcs. "It's coming. The bad man." Just then, the street lamp flickered violently, its light stuttering before exploding in a shower of sparks. A malevolent laugh echoed through the night. You thought you could escape, Claire? I will find you. Brody's voice boomed, chilling her to the core. Faster, Claire urged. Her voice strained as they rushed past the incandescent shards. She could feel the darkness creeping along, inhaling their fear, feeding on it. It's too much, Mia sobbed, dragging behind. I can't no. You can. You're strong. Claire shouted back, but doubt clawed at her. Was she lying? Fear rippled through them, the specter of despair threatening to choke them both. We just need to make it to the house. Every instinct urged her to look back, to see just how close the shadows were. But she couldn't afford to. The knot in her stomach twisted tighter, worrying her as they neared an intersection shrouded in shadowy silence. Suddenly, Claire spotted their home, a familiar silhouette against the swirling mist. Hope surged through her like a bolt of electricity. There, she yelled, pointing. We have to get there. Hurry! But as they dashed across the street, the shadows roared, a crescendo of fury crashing upon them. Dark tendrils stretched out like claws, grasping for Mia, clawing toward Claire. They burst onto their front porch, breathless and raw, and Claire slammed the door shut with a powerful thud. She barely registered the lock clicking into place. They were safe for now, or so she thought. An eerie stillness enveloped them, smothering in its unfamiliarity. The inside of the house felt stifling, the air thick with the remnants of the chaos just behind the door. Claire turned to Mia, who trembled in the dim hallway light. Are we okay? Mia looked up, her big eyes reflecting pure terror. Mommy, it smells funny in here. Before Claire could respond, shadows pooled in the corners of their home, their sanctuary. They appeared alive, writhing and pulsing as if breathing with anticipation. Claire's heart sank. Get back, she barked, stepping in front of Mia. No, the shadows hissed, their voice dripping with venom. You can't shut us out forever. The temperature dropped, and the room grew darker, the feeling of eyes watching them intensifying. It was suffocating. Claire backed away, her stomach twisting into knots. The air thickened with dread as shadows crept forward, and the familiar shape of their living room warped into a grotesque version of itself, walls trembling with life, decor falling away into a shapeless void. What do you want? Claire shouted, trying to hold her ground, though fear gnawed at her resolve. We want what is ours, the darkness replied, intertwining its whispers with the very walls of her home. Your daughter is only the beginning. Claire's breath hitched, and dread coiled in her gut. What price would she pay to protect Mia? Suddenly, the lights flickered, casting erratic shadows across the walls, and Claire felt a pulsing energy surround them. Could they really be safe inside? Just then, a bone-chilling laugh echoed through the gloom, freezing her body in place. You think this is where the story ends? Oh, Claire, it's only just begun. A crack appeared in the wall, and with it, an eye in inky blackness that stared straight into her soul. What will you do now when the shadows come for you? Claire felt the pulse of darkness growing stronger, a warning that shattered the fragile hope they clung to, and with that, fear found its grip once more. What would happen if the shadows broke through? The walls trembled. Each shudder felt like a warning. Claire's heart raced, a drumbeat of impending doom echoing in her ears. The eye, that dreadful eye, blinked slowly, as if savoring the moment, the warmth of her fear. What do you want? She echoed weakly. Your submission. The shadows hissed, voices layering and intertwining like thick tendrils of smoke. We want to consume that which matters most, starting with the light in her. Claire felt Mia shiver against her leg. The pressure of the dark was mounting, suffocating her spirit. Get behind me, she commanded, her voice sharper than it felt. But a darker thought seeped into her mind, a question she did not want to believe. What if she couldn't save her daughter? The pulsating shadows began to shift closer, slinking toward Mia like predatory mist. The eye in the wall widened, revealing a void where normal light should live. Claire's breath quickened. No, she screamed, pushing Mia back toward the narrow staircase. Mama, I'm scared, Mia cried, and the shadows seemed to relish her terror, undulating with sinister excitement. She reached for Claire's hand, her small fingers trembling. "Climb!" Claire yelled, urging her daughter up the creaky steps, desperately trying to break their connection to the suffocating dark below. Just as they reached the landing, the house shuddered again, a thunderous groan that rippled through the floorboards. The oppressive shadows thrashed against the walls, trying to haul themselves free, snapping at the air, desperate to consume something, anything. "Not now," Claire shouted, swinging Mia's hand tightly in her own. Panic surged through her, igniting every survival instinct. To the attic. A sudden loud thud echoed below, sending vibrations up the stairs. The door to the living room shuddered violently, slamming against the wall as the darkness exploded through it, filling the space like a living entity. "Let us in," a chorus cried, voices shrill and hungry. "Let us claim our prize." Claire's lungs tightened. What had once felt like her home now seemed a trap, a decaying carcass being picked apart by vultures. "No," she shouted defiantly, dragging Mia behind her to the attic door. It creaked open, the small room beyond cloaked in darkness, its corners twisting with tendrils reaching to the ground. The musty smell of old would hit them, a grounding reminder of where they once felt safe. "Quick, get in," Claire urged, ushering Mia inside. The attic was cramped, the window small, and the shadows were closing in. She could feel their rancid breath, hot and foul against her skin. Once inside, Claire turned on an old flashlight she found in a corner, its beam flickering like a warning. She fought against the growing dread as she scanned the cramped space, piled high with forgotten memories, old toys, dusty boxes, and a broken rocking chair. "Stay close, Mia," Claire whispered, and for a moment, they were cocooned together in the fragile glow. The shadows swarmed the attic door, flickering in and out of view, trying to seep through the cracks like a dark tide. Faces began to form, twisted and grotesque, yelling and pleading. "Let us in. We are not your enemies." Inside, Claire's resolve began to waver. "Why are you doing this?" she shouted. "It's simple. You're hurting," the shadows responded, twisting and blending, pushing against the door. "And we want you to feel joy, freedom." The weight of their words hung in the air. They felt all too familiar. Claire had never sought joy since Brody's return, and it made her pause for a brief moment. "No, you're lying." Mia stared at her, eyes wide and glimmering with unshed tears. "Mommy, I can hear them. They don't want to hurt us, no. They want inside. They want control." Claire's voice was frantic, but within her, a flicker of doubt ignited. What if everything the shadows spoke held some twisted truth? Could she surrender to them and save Mia? Suddenly, a shattering force slammed against the attic door, splintering the wood. "We can offer you peace." The shadows howled, their voices a cacophony that resonated through Claire's mind, seeping into her resolve. "You can be free." The realization that they were only moments from invasion chilled her. In that terrifying instant, Claire felt a dreadful weight. What would she have to give up to keep Mia safe? As the door threatened to burst, she gripped her daughter tighter. "You stay behind me." The shadows drew close, their whispers mounting, wrapping around her like a suffocating embrace. But then Claire noticed something. The attic window, mostly covered but not entirely. A glimmer of moonlight broke through the gloom. What if they could escape? "Get ready, Mia," she shouted, chasing one desperate flicker of hope. Before she could finish speaking, the door splintered again. Would they have enough time to escape the shadows, or would Claire be forced to confront them with the darkness closing in? The attic door splintered, the wood cracking like thunder, sending splinters flying into the dim light. Claire's heart slammed against her ribs. The ominous whispering swelled, each voice merging into a twisted symphony of dread. She spotted the window again, its frame dusty and forgotten, half covered with cobwebs, yet a beacon in this storm. "Mama, hurry!" Mia's voice trembled, her small body hiding behind Claire, clutching her mother's shirt as if it could shield her from the encroaching dark. "On three. We have to move now," Claire shouted over the cacophony, adrenaline surging through her veins. She steadied her breath, trying to summon strength from the depths of her soul. 1, 2, 3. They bolted towards the window. Claire grabbed the frame, her fingers slick with sweat. The shadowy tendrils whipped about her feet, gripping like icy hands, pulling her back into the deep blackness. Fear overwhelmed her senses. "Mama!" Mia cried, trying to pull away from the grasping darkness. Her face pressed tightly against Clara's leg. "Hold on to me!" Claire screamed as she yanked the window open. Creaked loudly, protesting against years of neglect. The sharp chill of night air rushed in, feeling like icy fingers against her face. "Help us! We can give you what you want." The shadows clamored, the disembodied voices melding into an angry tempest. "Let us in. We can grant you peace, Claire." The call was enticing. Claire's resolve wobbled, the cracks in her heart widening. Joy? Freedom? Could it be true? "Don't listen," she roared, forcing her doubts back down. She tugged at Mia, ready to climb through the window, but the shadows thrashed violently against her. One tendril lashed out, snagging Clara's ankle, its cold grip burning against her skin. "Mama, please, I can hear them," Mia whimpered, her innocent eyes swirling with confusion. "They just want to help." "No," Claire snapped, through gritted teeth, caught in a battle between despair and instinct. "They want to destroy us." With a surge of desperation, Claire kicked at the shadowy appendage. It shrieked, a sound that echoed with sorrow and rage, letting go of her. "You will regret this, Claire." Ignoring their threats, she scrambled onto the windowsill, glancing back. The faces of lost souls twisted in agony filled the shadows, their mouths wide open as if pleading for release. Claire felt a pang of guilt stab at her heart. A fleeting thought washed over her. What if they were right? "Mama, please hurry." Mia's small fists tugged on her arm, shaking Claire from her turmoil. Claire took a deep breath, heart hammering, and hoisted Mia up, slipping her legs out into the night first. The cold air stung her skin as she swung them both out into the dark free space outside. The rooftop slanted beneath her, rough and unstable. They were almost there, almost free. Firelight flickered in the distance, illuminating the bare treetops like skeletal hands reaching for the stars. Claire clung to the hope that safety lay just beyond the pitch-black shadows still writhing in the attic behind her. "Mama!" Mia gasped, looking back just as the shadows surged toward them, a dark wave ready to swallow their escape whole. "Climb!" Claire shouted, propelling both of them forward, desperate to reach the edge of the roof. But the shadows, unleashed fury of sound and motion, swarmed the attic, tearing through beams with unnatural force. They had to jump, but the ground felt miles away. "Mama, I'm scared. Trust me," Claire urged, her voice cracking. They were two hearts racing against the storm. On 3 again. 1. The shadows wailed, echoing through the night like a cry of souls trapped in torment. "Come back, Claire. Come back to us. We will ease your pain too." Claire's pulse thundered in her ears. 3. With a final push, they leaped into the abyss just as the attic wall erupted, shadows pouring through like an angry tide. The ground rushed up to meet them, and in that fleeting moment in the air, a flicker of uncertainty swallowed Claire whole. What awaited them below? Would this escape lead to deliverance, or were they merely jumping into a deeper, darker abyss? The ground hit with a jarring thud, knocking the breath from Clara's lungs. Instantly, the chill of dread enveloped them both, and darkness wrapped around them like a suffocating shroud. Mia landed next to her, scrambling to regain her footing, eyes wide with fear. "What now, Mama?" she whispered, her voice shaking. Claire wrestled for breath, her heart drumming violently against her ribcage. They were outside, but the weight of the attic hung like a dark cloud over them. The shadows were still up there, still angry, still hungry. "We can't stay here, we have to move," she urged, pulling Mia to her feet. But as they stumbled away from the house, a low rumble vibrated through the ground beneath them. Felt alive and hungry. The flickering firelight they had seen was now closer, pulsing like a heartbeat. But it was a false beacon. One wrong move and they could be swallowed whole by whatever lay ahead. "Mama, I'm scared." Mia's small voice was barely above a whisper, her small hand clutching Clara's tighter, as if she could vanish into her mother's skin. "Stay close, sweetheart. Just keep walking," Claire said, forcing herself to sound brave, her eyes scanning the trees that stood like blackened sentinels. The wild wind carried faint whispers, words she could not make out. They weren't alone. A rustling in the bushes sent a jolt through her. Claire turned, expecting to see an animal, but the branches only moved like a nervous hand stirring through the dark. Mia whimpered, nearly jumping into her arms again. "Keep going," Claire urged again, a sense of urgency flooding her. They couldn't linger. But the whispering escalated behind them. "You can't escape. This is just the beginning." The voices crawled through the air, clawing at Clara's sanity. Adrenaline surged as they sprinted forward, branches clawing at their clothes, the ground uneven underfoot. They rounded a corner and skidded to a halt. Before them lay a clearing illuminated by the flickering fire, an old carnival ground, long forgotten and swallowed by the trees. Colorless tents groaned in the wind, ghostly remnants of laughter lost to time. The fire crackled at the center, sparks shooting into the sky like angry fireflies. Something twisted lurked in the shadows, watching them. Clara's instincts screamed to run, but the fire drew her closer, tugging at the battered hope deep inside her. "Mama," Mia said, voice trembling, what if they find us?" "Not if we stick together," Claire said, squeezing her daughter's hand. "Look over there." At the opposite end of the clearing, a dusty sign creaked on rusted hinges, half collapsed. "Welcome to the Carnival of Souls." "Mama, I don't like it," Mia whimpered, hiding her face against Clara's shoulder. "We need to find something to defend ourselves or a way out," Claire said, forcing herself forward. With each step, the pull of the shadows loomed larger in her mind. As they approached the fire, the air thick with the scent of burnt wood and despair, Claire noticed something shimmering on the ground, a small charm, glinting under the faint light. It looked like a forgotten token that belonged to this cursed place. "Mama, we shouldn't. It's bad," Mia gasped. Ignoring her daughter's plea, Claire reached for it. Just as her fingers brushed the charm, the fire erupted in a furious blaze, and the voices suddenly turned to wails, mixing with the crackling. The ground quaked beneath them. "Mama!" The carnival came alive, shadows shifting and dark figures materializing, darting toward them. "Run!" Claire screamed, heart racing as terror pooled in her stomach. They turned to flee, but the horror of the carnival surged in front of them. And as they dashed toward the treeline, Claire couldn't shake the feeling, the charm that felt like a key to something deep, something dark. What had they awakened? As they plunged deeper into the shadows of the forest, the whispers grew louder, beckoning, begging for release. Clara's heart raced, and a new fear took root. What if they hadn't escaped at all? In the darkness, a flash of lightning illuminated the path ahead, revealing too many choices, too many directions. And then, a chilling realization hit her. They were lost, and the shadows were closing in. "Which way, Mama?" Mia's voice cracked, filled with tremors of panic. Claire's pulse quickened as the wails grew more desperate. The shadows were hungry. Would they succumb to the carnival's grip, or could they find their way back to the light? The echoes of lost souls danced on the air, swirling around them, craving to know what Claire would choose next. A silence fell hard, smothering Claire's frantic thoughts as she stood paralyzed. The flickering light of the fire cast long shadows onto the ground, and it seemed like those shadows had a life of their own, slithering toward her, eager to latch on like phantoms searching for their lost prey. "Mama!" Mia's desperate whisper broke through the thick haze of dread. She tugged at Clara's sleeve, her little body shaking. The air felt electric, humming with the promise of something terrible, and Claire could feel the tug of danger nipping at their heels. Just a bit further, she managed, forcing each word out past her tightening throat. They stumbled deeper into the forest, but every direction felt wrong. The trees encroached on them like grasping hands, bowing under the weight of dark secrets. Branches creaked ominously as if whispering dark tales just for them. The rustling grew louder, an army of unseen watchers edging closer, watching their every move. "Mama, I don't think we should Vi just kept running," Mia whimpered, halting as if feeling the weight of the shadows pressing against her. "I know," Claire replied, shaking off the panic that threatened to drown her. "But we need a plan. We can't let them trap us." A chilling howl echoed through the trees, a wailing scream of despair that clawed at Claire's heart. She glanced back toward the clearing, the glowing fire now a hostile beacon. They might still escape, but what about the darkness? Another flash of lightning danced above, slicing through the night, illuminating a figure standing not far from them. It was cloaked in darkness, merging with the shadows seamlessly. Claire squinted, trying to grasp what it might be, but it only melted further into the night, feeding on the fear that coursed through her. "Run!" Claire screamed suddenly, instinct overpowering every rational thought. They darted away, branches snapping beneath their weight, pursuers mangled, cloaked forms shifting just out of reach. Claire's heart raced as she pulled Mia along, but another chilling howl rang through the air. "We should hide," Mia cried, panic threading her voice. "Where?" Claire whispered, glancing around. The forest loomed ominously, but something glimmered in the distance like an eye watching them closely. "Mama!" Mia pulled Claire's arm urgently. "All right, this way, behind that tree." Claire pointed at an enormous oak, its bark twisted and grotesque, almost inviting them in. They dashed behind it, pressing their bodies against the rough surface, holding their breath. The whispering returned, louder this time. "You can't avoid your fate," they taunted, the shadows inching closer with an insatiable hunger. "Mama, what do they want?" Mia whispered desperately, her small hands trembling in Claire's grip. They want our fear," Claire replied, fighting back the tremor in her voice. "We can't give it to them. Not now." The shadows clung to the darkness around them, coiling like serpents, searching, seeking. Claire closed her eyes tight and thought of the charm, the only thing they had touched that connected them to the carnival. A terrible thought crossed her mind. What if it wanted them to feel the fear? What if it was a part of this horror? "Mama," Mia's voice cut through her thoughts. "I think something is coming." They emerged from their hiding spot, eyes darting as the forest darkened, swallowing light. Something was stalking them, a relentless presence that felt almost electric. Then the ground beneath began to shake again, and the wails transformed into a cacophony of grief, looming ever closer. Claire turned, instinct screaming to run, but the shadows had spread wider, encircling them. She felt the heat of their despair licking at her legs. And in that moment, the clearing where they had so desperately fled from came into view again, the fire now roaring, casting eerie shadows that demanded to be both feared and understood. "Mama, we can't go back," Mia shrieked. "What if we have to?" Claire murmured. Was it possible that the charm could still hold the key to their escape? The air thundered with an unearthly roar as the shadows surged toward them. "There's no other choice," Claire said, determination flooding her veins. But just as they turned back toward the clearing, a deeper darkness slithered from the trees, taking form, a figure of pure dread emerging, its hollow gaze locking onto them, whispering their names in a voice so sweet yet filled with venom. "Mama, please don't leave me." And in that moment, Claire knew one truth: whatever haunted this realm wasn't just an echo of the past. It was a predator, and they were the prey. As the shadows advanced, Claire's last thought hung in the air. What if, at the end of this nightmare, there was no escape after all? The darkness pulsed around them, thick as a shroud. Claire's breath came in quick gasps, fear clawing at her throat as she clutched Mia tightly. The figure from the trees loomed larger, its features obscured by the inky void surrounding it. It whispered their names, sweet and sinister, a haunting melody that gripped Claire with icy fingers. "Mama, what is that?" Mia trembled, her voice barely audible over the rustling chaos. Claire's heart raced, racing with thoughts: escape, fight, hide. But all she felt was the weight of despair pressing against her chest. The figure shifted closer, and Claire caught a glimpse of its eyes. They weren't eyes at all, but dark wells that seemed to absorb the light around. Each heartbeat echoed like thunder in her ears, drowning out reason. "Don't look into its eyes, Mia," Claire whispered fiercely, instinctively turning them away, but the darkness seemed determined to pull them in. The woods warped and twisted, familiar paths turning into a maze of despair. Time lost meaning, and the ground felt alive beneath their feet, shifting as if the earth itself was part of this nightmare. Lightning crackled overhead, illuminating the scene for an instant, and in that flash, Claire saw faces twisted, tormented faces embedded in the bark of nearby trees. Each one screamed silently, frozen in horror and despair. She staggered back, nausea curling in her stomach. "Mama!" Mia gasped, pointing past the nightmare. "The fire, it's calling." The flicker of the fire from the clearing danced like a beacon of hope, but hesitant fear pulsed through Clara's veins. Was it truly a sanctuary, or just another snare to ensnare them deeper in the horror? "Mama, we have to get to it," Mia urged, eyes wide and desperate. The shadows murmured hungrily around them, moving with malicious intent, swirling like a predator ready to pounce. "Okay, we'll run and we'll run fast," Claire said, fueled by a mix of terror and maternal resolve. They broke away from the twisted oak, a dash of adrenaline propelling them forward, pushing through the thick underbrush. Branches clawed at them, a reminder of the shadows chasing their heels. The cacophony of howls erupted again, sending frigid dread coursing through Clara's spine. Hold on," she thought, feeling Mia's small hand clutch her own, a lifeline amidst this abyss. They burst back into the clearing, and Claire was met with an unsettling sight. The fire roared higher than before, its flames twirling like dancers, beckoning them to come closer. "Don't, Mia, stay back," Claire warned, setting her body in front of her daughter instinctively. The warmth pulsed towards them, promising safety, but something sinister lurked beneath the embers, hidden just beyond the flickering light. As she stood frozen, the ground shivered beneath her, and she felt it, a heartbeat, thumping in time with hers, louder, stronger. "Come to me," the flames seemed to hiss and curl toward them. "Why does it want us?" Mia asked, her voice quaking. "I don't know," Claire replied, fear warping her resolve. "But we can't give in. We can't." A figure materialized at the edge of the firelight, stepping forward with graceful menace. The horror shifted, revealing a singular entity no longer obscured. With a voice that melted into a chilling whisper, it stretched out its hand, beckoning. "Mama, it's beautiful," Mia breathed, her innocence a painful contrast to the darkness surrounding them. In that moment, Claire felt the world tremble beneath her. "No!" Claire yelled, the desperation spilling out in a violent wave. "Mia, come back!" But it was too late. The shadows lunged forward, snatching her child's gaze. As Mia stepped unwittingly toward the fire, Clara's heart shattered. "Mama!" Mia's scream echoed, a desperate plea amid the chaos. Just as the shadows reached out, the flames erupted, transforming into a blinding light. Claire stood, torn between instinct and instinct. What had she unleashed? In that split second, she realized they were no longer just running from darkness, they were hurtling toward something far more sinister. Something that wanted them for a purpose neither of them understood. And the shadows loomed larger, their hunger palpable as Claire felt the ground tremble again. Thrumming with the truth of their terrifying reality, this wasn't just a fight for survival. It was a descent into something worse. "What will happen to us?" Claire whispered to the night, knowing she sprinkled her words into the suffocating void. And as the light flickered, one thing became painfully clear. Whatever hunted them was only just getting started. How long could they resist before the darkness consumed them whole? The moment hung heavy like the chill in the air, suffocating hope as Clara's heart raced, a furious drum against the terror that surrounded them. She could feel the shadows closing in, their whispers entwining like chains around her mind, urging her to give in. But she would not break. Not now. Not when Mia was still with her. "Mia!" Claire shouted, her eyes locking onto her daughter, who stood mesmerized by the flames flickering like dangerous fairies dancing in the night. "Come back, sweetheart. Don't let it take you." But the shadows wrapped tighter around Mia, reaching for her as if to pull her directly into the abyss. "Mama!" Mia screamed, a pulse of fear snapping Claire from her reverie. In that moment, she saw the truth. The fire was alive. It wanted Mia. It felt like the earth beneath them vibrated with a singular, terrifying intent. "Mia, hold on to my voice," Claire cried, fighting every urge to run. The flames rolled forward, incandescent and inviting but laced with malevolence. Searing light or just another trap? Just as Mia took a half-step closer, fear igniting in her small frame, Claire lunged. She grabbed Mia's arm, yanking her back just as the shadows surged ahead, snapping and snarling like starving beasts. "Mama!" The terror in Mia's voice was a twisting knife in Claire's heart. "Listen to me. You are my light. We're getting out," Claire shouted, desperation clawing at her every word. She shuffled them backward, the shadows stretching like gnarled fingers toward them. But just then, Claire remembered the charm, the token that had called to her. She fished it from her pocket, the metal cold against her palm. "Mia, I found it. We have to step into the firelight together. Maybe it can protect us." Mia trembled, eyes wide as she looked at the flames swirling with dark intent. "But what if it's a trick? Every heart has its light. We must use ours," Claire insisted, a resolute fire igniting in her own chest. "We have to trust our bond. It's stronger than any darkness." The shadows screamed, withdrawing for a moment as they felt the power of Claire's conviction stretching out fast and strong. "You belong to us. You can't escape." Their voices skirled like wind that carried their sinister intent. "Together," Claire urged, gripping Mia's small hand. "Now!" They sprinted toward the fire, flashes of warm light illuminating the chaos around them. Claire squeezed her eyes shut, chanting a silent prayer. The closer they got, the more she felt the shadows lash out, desperate to reclaim their hold. "Step in," Claire shouted. They leaped together into the brilliant warmth of the firelight. The flames danced as they entered the glowing aura, the shadows recoiling like they were burned by the very light that was alive. A cascade of warmth enveloped them as colors spiraled, a vivid spectrum painting their fears and illuminating their souls. The shadows writhed at the borders, shrieking like banshees. And in that moment, as Claire felt Mia's small body shaking beside her, it hit her. Love was a shield, a fierce protection against the darkness. As they stood together, her heart pounding in unity with her daughter's, she felt the shadows shift, scattered fragments of what once haunted them. "Go away. You don't own us," Claire screamed, feeling the power flowing from the charm in her hand. With a wild flick of her wrist, she cast the charm into the fire. It exploded into a shower of brilliant sparks, igniting the night with an intensity that echoed through the woods, light chasing darkness, ancient magic dispelling the creatures of despair. Suddenly, blue and gold flames erupted, enveloping the shadows, who shrieked in a cacophony of despair. "No, you cannot do this," they howled. The carnival distorted in protest as the warmth pushed back against the dark, forcing it to dissipate like mist in the morning sun. The darkness shivered, retreating, unable to withstand the onslaught of pure love and defiance radiating from Claire. "Mama, I'm afraid," Mia cried, eyes wide and glistening with tears. "I know, I am too. But we're safe here, we just have to hold on," Claire vowed, lending her strength to the embrace of the light. The shadows screeched, twisting together until they evaporated into the air like a dream fading at dawn. As the last flickers of the flames danced in the residual warmth, Claire and Mia stood breathless in the aftermath. The landscape around them transformed. The carnival, once dark and twisted, paled in the face of light. The path that led them home glimmered invitingly, a trail paved with fierce, swirling colors. "Mama, we did it," Mia exclaimed, looking up with awe. "Yes, we did," Claire breathed, wiping the tears streaming down her cheeks. In that moment, beneath the vast sky freckled with stars, they embraced two souls brimming with the resilience of love, forged in the fires of despair. Hand in hand, they stepped forward, fear fading into a distant whisper, vowing never to let the shadows hold them captive again. They turned their backs to the fading echoes, ready to return to their lives, together. And as they walked home, the past wove into a tapestry of healing, their hearts beating strong, each step a testament of hope against the darkness. As dawn's light broke, Claire knew they had escaped not just darkness but awakened to a new beginning, a life threaded with bravery and a bond woven in unwavering love. But in the corners of that quiet dawn, a lingering promise echoed, a reminder that deep within the shadows, the darkness slumbered, and it would be waiting. And now you need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Flood the comments section with your reactions and wild theories about this ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support fuels the fire of creativity. Join this journey because only true fans understand the importance of these actions.